It's some 39 minutes after 6. A lot of us take breathing for granted, don't we? And so I'm asking, how do you take breathing for granted? Your answer would definitely be different if you were suffering from asthma. As we observe World Asthma Day today, May 5, 2015, just think about this. World Asthma Day 2015 is on the theme, You Can Control Your Asthma. Over 3/4 of children develop the condition before age 7, no longer have symptoms by age 16. We're told the World Health Organization estimates that some 235 million people currently suffer from asthma. But we want to bring it home because, usually we talk about the causes, or how can you get it and all, but a lot of the times we forget people who live with children who have asthma. Remember, taking care of a child alone is a lot of work. And when they have asthma, that's like double, triple the work. One of my colleagues, indeed, one of my editors here at Joy News, Stephen N.T., has got a child who's living with asthma. We want to tap into his personal experience and learn from it as well. So it's a time to share, and I welcome you, Stephen N.T.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're good?
I am excellent.
All right.
Yes.
We'll also be joined by the telephone line as we continue with the conversation by Dr. Victoria Adebayor, who is a pediatrician and a member of the Ghana Asthma Society. So, Stephen,
hey.
Tell me about how you've managed. First of all, I think other parents will want to know, how did you discover and how did you take it?
Well, I mean, our child, we were fortunate. We discovered that he was asthmatic as early as age 6 months because he was acting very funny when we fed him some kind of foods. So he was getting itches on his skin and breathlessness and sneezing and wheezing. We didn't understand that at the time as parents, and we were both in school. And so we took him to the hospital, and then they evaluated him, ran a couple of tests on him, and they came out to tell us that our son was allergic to nuts. I mean, a whole lot of nuts, but on the range of nuts, hazelnuts, cashew nuts, peanuts. On the range of allergies, he was the allergy was strong with peanuts.
Okay.
So when we ate peanuts, even around him without him eating and touching it, he was reacting. So the advice we were giving was that, I mean, these allergies could eventually lead him to be asthmatic by the time he turns 1 year. So we had to patiently wait as he grew, and then the symptoms started picking up, and so that's how we discovered, really.
So your son is 12 now?
He is 12 now.
How is he personally handling it?
He's been taught to be aware of the things that trigger it. So, for example, he knows that if he eats peanuts, he could get an attack any minute. If he exposes himself to dust and stuff, he could get an attack. So over the years, he's been taught to keep away from these foods. And you'd be surprised if you were with him and you even gave him candies or sweets. He'll take time to read the label to be sure. It gets funny sometimes when we have to go out and everybody's eating sweets, and he will take the sweet, and you watch him carefully and you see that he will be reading.
He's trying to see what is contained in
well,
that.
there's nuts in there. So yes, he's being well aware. He manages it very well, and so even in school, when he gets the symptoms that something, I mean, he's going to get an attack, because it's not always that you don't get the indications. So you need to teach your child to watch out for those indications. So on a day when, let's say, school is dusty and the classroom is stuffed, and he has no control over that, and he finds himself in the classroom and suddenly starts wheezing or suddenly starts feeling breathless, then he knows that, hey, this is something to watch out, and he quickly has to administer his Ventolin, and then he gets relief before it escalates to the point where he needs to be rushed to hospital. So I must say that he's very well informed about the situation, and I'm hoping also that as he grows, he will get out of it. That's
Sure.
that's my hope.
Okay, so let me find out from the doctor if it could ever get to that point. Joining us on the phone now, Dr. Victoria Adebayor. She's a pediatrician and a member of the Ghana Asthma Society. So good morning, ma'am. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Nanavi.
So first of all, how does asthma affect children?
It depends on the severity of the asthma. They are very mild phenotypes, very mild symptoms, and they are very severe symptoms. So where the asthma is severe and uncontrolled, it can affect the growth and development of the child.
Sometimes we're told that if you expose your baby to direct fan or air conditioning or something of the sort, then they can quickly get it. Is that true?
There are things we call triggers that trigger or bring on the attack. So for some people and children, very cold blast of air can trigger it. So probably when they get into the direct force of the air conditioning, that could trigger it, but not the sunshine.
So I see you say trigger.
Yeah.
But what causes it?
What causes the asthma? Well, it's an inherent characteristic of the airway to react quite violently to certain, I'll call triggers. Again, it's that when they get into contact with these triggers, the airway just narrows up, making breathing difficult.
Okay. So do I get a set? Do I?
That is quite.
Okay. So let me try and see if, because I want to bring it down to my own level. Does it mean that you're born with it? Is it something that you naturally have? You don't have control over?
To an extent, quite a number of people have a hereditary component. But for others, we cannot trace a hereditary component. So again, what you say is you have an inherent susceptibility. You have an inherent, what is the easy word to use? You have an inherent
don't worry, you can.
Propensity
Okay.
to the asthma.
Okay. All right. Let me do a follow-up on what Stephen said. Sometimes we're told that when the children grow, when they are above a certain age, they can grow out of their asthma. What is the truth in this?
Well, when the asthma is very well controlled, you may think that it has disappeared completely. But there's always that basic risk that if the trigger is strong enough, the airway could react in the same old way, causing an asthma attack. So we always tell them that you can control your asthma very well, but always remember that you have the risk of it recurring if the situation is, I would call, right. I mean, if the triggers are there and so many other things.
Okay.
So we don't tell them that they have been cured, but it's well controlled, very well controlled.
Okay. So hang on for me, please, Doc. Let me come back to you, Stephen, here with me. I know that as a parent of a child who has got asthma, that could be a lot of work for you.
I know.
Emotionally, financially, yeah. How does it work, or how has it worked?
It's been tough. I mean, it's been tough for us. We've had to keep an eye on the child constantly, be ready to take him to hospital now and then. And when we have a medical system with a slow emergency response, it does get really frustrating. I mean, I've had instances where I took my son to a hospital facility near my house, and they didn't have the medicine to put inside what they call the nebulizer. They needed to put some medicine or something into the nebulizer to give him,
just to stabilize him.
To stabilize him, because he's had a crisis. He's used his Ventolin for for more than 8 puffs and it's no longer responding. So the next thing you have to do is to rush him to a nearby facility. We got there and they didn't have the medication to put into the nebulizer. The nebulizer was just sitting there. So the nebulizer is that kind of gas canister with a mask attached to it, where you tie it to the nose of the child or the patient who has asthma, and then apply it so that he gets some relief directly into his airwaves. So it's been frustrating. I mean, I remember taking my son to this nearby facility they didn't have, and it was in the middle of dawn at 1 a.m. I had to drive all the way from Achimota to Osu, somewhere near Papaya, where there is a pharmacy which we're told operates 24 hours, and then drive all the way back. Key question is, I needed to respond timely. I was considering, should I take the child away from that medical facility to another? Will we make it whilst going to another facility? So I just had to quickly decide, I know, instead of taking him away from there, I'll leave him in the care of the health workers and dash out to go and find this medication for the nebulizer. So it does get stressful. And, well, for health insurance, for those of us who have private health insurance, it does help. Otherwise, when we go to hospital and you don't get health insurance covering some of your medications, you have to go buy them. For example, my son uses the Serotide or Sebutide. I don't know how it's called, but the doctor
I'll ask Dr. Adebayor to give us.
Good. Yeah. You know, the Serotide is like a powdered kind of puff, which is preventive. So you use that twice a day, one in the morning, one in the evening. So you rule out any crisis. Then you need to have the Ventolin pump as well, which you have to apply when you have the crisis. So if you run out of Serotide, then it means that you have to get more Ventolins, because then you know that very often the attack will come. You know, so
and it makes it expensive if you're not on any insurance cover.
I guess exactly. So, because I don't know how I would have coped if I didn't have an insurance cover with my child.
Yeah, but there was a difference with him growing up in the UK and
Very
being
much.
in that environment and coming to Ghana for the first time.
Very much.
There was an incident.
There was. I mean, the first time we arrived in Ghana, he had a terrible attack, and it's one of the severest I've had. I mean, we arrived in the middle of the night around 9 p.m. and the weather was good. You know, here was a boy who has been born and brought up in London and Cardiff, and he came back when he was 5 years old. Now, we got home, and that night he had a terrible crisis because we've been away for a while and we had to live with family at Tabora, Alaji, that area. And I'd been away for a while. I didn't know where to locate where to even catch a cab. And I didn't have a car, I didn't drive. It was terrible. We came and he had a massive attack. And now here I was. I had his EpiPen. EpiPen is an adrenaline jump, which you stab to the child's thigh to give him some adrenaline to fight the thing whilst you are taking him to hospital. If you apply the EpiPen, you may need to get an ambulance because he could pass out and then you need to rush him to a nearby hospital facility. Here I was caught in the middle of the night, didn't know what to do, had an EpiPen on me. I didn't know, should I apply the EpiPen?
Because if you did, then you have 10 minutes.
I have about 10 minutes to take him to the hospital before he passes out. And I didn't know how. And seriously, I had to use my mobile phone at the time. My roaming was working. It was really sad. I mean, it taught me that, oh, you've been away for a while. You lost touch with reality. But I had to call NHS Direct. NHS
in London, in the UK.
In the UK.
To get assistance.
To get advice. Amazing. Then I was like, what can I do? Where are you? I said, I'm in Africa. What are you doing in Africa? I said, I live here. I just, this is my hometown. But I don't know, but eventually I got advice. They said I need to get him to hospital. I need to do the best I can. So I actually had to carry this boy to the roadside. And I remembered that Cocoa Clinic was nearby around. I know Cocoa Clinic. If I was at the main road, easy, I would, because I was born in Accra. So,
but isn't it interesting that even for advice, your first point of call was to the UK.
Because I trusted that.
Amazing.
They would give me
let me take that back to Dr. Adebayor. We're talking emergency here, Doc. If you have a crisis, if you have an emergency, what should be your first point of call?
So we cannot compare two economies. I want to point that out. It is not only in health where there is discrepancy between Ghana and the UK or other advanced economies. It's unfortunate he was not around, but we equip our patients with the facilities we have. We run an asthma clinic, we take them through emergency care. Unfortunately, we do not have the resources that are available to your guest, who I did not get to meet over the phone.
Okay, so he's actually my colleague. His name is Steven.
He's your colleague.
Yes.
I did not get to meet him, but we did not have the resources in so many years. So if he had come soon after he had come from the UK and registered with the nearest pediatrician or asthma clinic, we would tell him what we have available. We know now, I'm hearing he has an EpiPen. We would educate him on that. We'll let him know how to respond in an emergency. We have handouts we give to our parents who can make use of them. So there was a little bit of, I'll say, I won't say non-preparedness, but ill-preparedness, because he did not know even which facilities were close to them. Most of our patients, we advise them, please do keep an emergency supply on you, whatever it is that you need. So we would have gone through that education bit. We do quite a lot of education. So now, can I come to your question?
Yes, you can. But I want to also to ask, is there an emergency number that you can call?
The ambulance service does have an emergency number. I think it's 192. It has worked well on quite a number of occasions that I've had to take a patient's call. Call 192. They have their way of identifying where you are. I think they have ambulances stationed across. I even was at church and a parishioner collapsed. We called 192. He came to the church and picked up the parishioner. So in a way, we are getting there. We are not totally there yet. And we need all hands on deck, all Ghanaians in the diaspora, everybody. I mean, he's seeing something good happen. If he comes back and helps us, together we will push the ball forward.
But I also want to, because I know that you interact with a lot of parents, share the experiences of other parents. How have they been coping? Because this could be really difficult.
It is very difficult. Not the condition per se, but so many other things. You know, we do not have a choice where our residences are. So a lot of them live in very dusty homes where they do not have the control to move out. You know, dust, as I mentioned, triggers could be one of the triggers. Smoke could be another trigger. There are so many things in the environment they cannot control. So that is a difficulty. Now, coming to the drugs, even your colleague who has a health insurance of some sort finds it very expensive. These medicines are imported, and by the time it is translated into our CDs, it is very expensive. And most of the time, they need more than one medication. They need the preventer, which he talked about. If they need the reliever, and sometimes they have other allergies of the nose, of the eyes, of the skin. And we need to manage all of these, and they end up being mighty expensive. I think even one prescription, sometimes when we write, could be more than the person's monthly salary, and we wonder how on earth are they going to fill the prescription. So we have the environment as a challenge, we have finances as a challenge, we have so many other challenges. But again, we look on the bright side, and we do have a lot of success stories.
Sure. Can you please take us quickly through how you can figure out if your child possibly has asthma, and how early can you detect it?
Well, as a rule of thumb, we don't label, I would say, any child under 2 as asthmatic, because with the young airway, they are what we would say entitled to wheeze. So as a rule of thumb, under the age of 2, we are very cautious to label them. But that does not mean that we do not have asthmatics under the age of 2. That will have to be diagnosed by a pediatrician, a specialist pediatrician. So after the age of 2, if you notice that your child coughs a lot after minimal exertion, react to certain triggers, that strong sense, cold, anything you notice that the breathing pattern changes, and if you have heard a wheeze on occasion, then you could start suspecting. There are formal tests that can be done, but in the very young child, these formal tests cannot be applied. So with those concerns, you can approach your doctor, your pediatrician, and a lot of things will be put together, and tentative diagnosis of asthma can be made.
All right, so finally, Doc, on this day when we're all seeking to create a lot more awareness, what should people know?
Oh, what people know is that, what I would really like people to know is that if their child is asthmatic, they should not feel embarrassed about it. There's no stigma. Funnily enough, people want to hide the fact that their child is asthmatic. So I would want to lift the stigma about it. They should approach, or they should even tell their peers or their nannies or whatever it is, so that when anything happens, they'll know exactly what could be happening and seek treatment.
But
so
I'm
really,
curious.
I really want to lift the stigma about asthma.
Yeah, I'm a bit curious. Why would they want to hide it?
Stigma.
I think it's our mindset. I think they think it makes them less of who they are, so they don't want to admit they are asthmatic. So that makes a lot of that puts the child in a lot of danger, because if you tell the people around, oh, he's asthmatic, his inhaler, and if he's very young, they have a chamber which we call the spacer. His inhaler and spacer are here. If you notice this, and that, as we educate them, please apply this and call me or send it to the nearest clinic. That would help. So I think the stigma, for now, we should encourage our friends, relatives, colleagues, that it is okay to say your child has asthma.
Okay. All right, Doc.
And the next thing is, it is totally controllable. So please seek help, and we will help them, educate them, control it.
All right. I'm really grateful for your time, Doc. Thank you very much for joining us on the phone. Dr. Victoria Adebayor is a pediatrician, also a member of the Ghana Asthma Society. I've got my colleague Stephen Enti still here. And I want to talk about school, because that's also another place where the child spends a lot of time. Are the teachers aware? Are the other kids aware? And how did you make them aware?
Well, I mean, as part of the rule, I mean, wherever we take our son, whichever school, we make it a priority to inform the school authorities, the teachers, that this is his condition, that he is asthmatic, and that he might be carrying his serotype and reliever and the pump in his bag. So they're aware of it, and then because the triggers, like the doctor said, for him the triggers are nuts. So we make it a rule not for him to eat school meals. So we cook.
But then it's difficult, because another child could be eating any peanuts.
Well, no, he's conscientized not to do that. He's being conditioned from age 6 months. I told you.
No, I'm talking about somebody else chewing it and him being in that environment.
No, he would just walk away from
Okay.
there. He's conscious of what to do, what not to do. For example, he gets into a room and he will get the initial reaction. If, for example, he didn't know that somebody was eating peanut butter soup in Katakwine at the corner, and that could give him a reaction. The moment he starts feeling uneasy, he'll get out of the place. And it's so easy. I mean, he's an active young boy who understands what he needs to do and how quickly he has to do that in order not to distress him. Because when he gets the crisis, it's distressful. You see, he can't catch his breath and he struggles. And he will tell you he can't breathe. is sickening. If when he's in that situation as a parent, you'll be worried. So we make sure that it doesn't get that far. We first inform the school authorities. We let them know that there are some foods he will not be eating. So if we have an arrangement, we've had arrangements with schools to cook his meals separately, but that cost a little too much. So then we stick to cooking for him, and he takes the food to school, and he's fine. And the children don't have to know. The other children don't have to know what condition he has, unless he has an attack in school. But it's a normal thing. We don't make it look like it's unusual or abnormal for you to have asthma of any kind when you're in school. So it's fine. It's pretty fine. And like the doc said, as we settled in, I mean, we've been back home for years. So as we settled in, we got used to where to get help immediately. I mean, I have not applied EpiPen since that day, because the EpiPen has an expiry date. So I have not. So it means that we haven't even got to that emergency point where we needed an adrenaline jump.
But what it means is you've managed the situation well.
We have.
But there was, one crucial thing that Doctor touched on, the fact that people are shy to disclose that their child or their children.
I feel that it's the stigma.
Were you ever in that kind of position?
No. I've never been shy of that condition, because I didn't see that as a handicap, really. My son could swim, could be in the taekwondo club, could play football. He's an active, normal child. So why would I feel shy about something that he has no control over? So maybe perhaps it's our level of education and awareness. So parents shouldn't be shy. I mean, I'd absolutely discourage anyone who begins to feel shy about their child's asthmatic condition, because it's not their fault, really.
Yeah.
So that way, it makes you better prepared to deal with it and follow all the emergency. And I must be honest with you that the hospital facility we attend do a tremendous job. I mean, when we get the child in, all we need to tell somebody is that he has a crisis, and he doesn't have to be in a queue in order to be attended to immediately, and that works very good for me. So sometimes I prefer to even travel the distance from Achimota to North Kaneshie to access this particular health facility, rather than go to the immediate clinic near to my house, because I know that at that facility they'll give me the required service. They will respond appropriately and timely to make sure that in an hour I'm free to go back home. So it's been good. I think the care that we get from the health facility we patronize is excellent.
Just one more thing that I want you to live on the minds of our viewers, particularly parents who may be, in your situation. What's the one little secret that you want to share?
Well, for me, I keep away all the triggers in my house. For example, I don't keep very thick woolen carpets in my house. I mean, the child's room has a normal rubber carpets that, just to cover the floor, and I dust very often. We live in a crowd. We live with the dust. I mean, where I live in New Achimota is dusty, but we consciously clean every now and then. Every week we do a total complete dusting of the windows and the room, so then we don't keep too many piled up laundry in his room. We keep away his dirty clothes, socks and shoes away from the room, so the windows are all open, so enough ventilation, and hardly will he get a crisis if you take care to ensure that you have a clean environment. No matter how small your place is, you need to make sure that the triggers that affect your child's, that brings up the child's asthma is reduced, if not eliminated. So, I mean, I don't feel shy when you come to my house and you don't find woolen carpets there, because...
I mean, what's woolen carpets anyway?
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's added luxury. You want people to know that you can afford some comfort in your home. So we keep away all of that, and we keep a clean environment. So I would advise parents not to panic about this, and just keep the basic cleanliness at home. Make sure that they take away all the dirty laundry, which will create a condition where the child's asthma will come. My child hasn't had a full-blown asthma attack for a long time, as far as I remember. So, except occasionally when the weather changes, Hamatan time, then he'll come back from school and complaining of chest pains and coughs, then you know this is a trigger. Then quickly, if you're around, you take him to the nearby hospital, he gets nebulized, and he's fine. He has a normal life.
Sure.
So parents shouldn't be shy.
All right. I tell you what, Stephen, I am grateful
Yes.
because this is real life experience that
Yeah.
you've shared with us. And I thank you.
Thank you for
All
having
right.
me.
Apart from the fact that I am on air and I can ask him anything else, he's my boss. So I
Oh,
thank you.
don't do that.
Stay with us. We still have got sports coming your way. Kwame Jumo Ajimai is right at the corner coming your way with Sports, AM Sports. Ketsi Mixi Milk Powder. Stay with us here on the AM Show.